All right, let's get this party started. Welcome, spicy ladies. Power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in those quiet choices that no one sees. You know, the ones that can't be explained but totally refuse to be ignored. There's this kind of woman who doesn't compete, doesn't explain, and definitely doesn't chase the spotlight. But somehow, her presence changes everything. She's not looking to control anyone. She's not performing to earn respect. She just is. And that quiet self-assurance, it throws people off more than arrogance ever could. That woman is a Sigma female. She doesn't fit into categories. She doesn't follow rules just to belong. She's carved her own path, not because she wants to be different, but because the usual way never felt honest. While alpha women often fight to be seen and heard, Sigma women are already in tune with something deeper. They lead from within. They challenge the norm silently. They don't just bend the rules. They question why those rules exist at all. And here's what makes it even more intense. Sigma females do things most alpha women would never dare. They walk away from power. They choose solitude over empty praise. They call out the people they love when truth is on the line. They are loyal to themselves before they're loyal to any tribe. If you've ever felt like you think differently, move differently, or see through things most people accept without question, you might not be difficult. You might be a Sigma. And if you are, this video will feel like someone finally speaking your language. Stay with us. What you're about to hear might sound terrifying to some, but to you, it will feel like home. Let's dive into the spicy ladies. Number 1, they're loyal to truth, not tribe. Most people choose loyalty over truth, especially when it comes to their inner circle. They stay quiet to keep the peace. They let things slide to avoid tension. They turn a blind eye because calling someone out might make them unpopular. Alpha females often lead groups, and with that leadership comes pressure to maintain the unity of the tribe, even if it means ignoring what is right. Sigma females don't live like that. They are loyal, yes, but not to people, status, or any group identity. They are loyal to truth. And when that truth is being ignored, twisted, or buried, they won't stay silent. Even if the person in question is someone they care about. Even if speaking up means being pushed out of the circle. Picture this. A friend crosses a line. Maybe it's subtle, like gossip disguised as concern. Maybe it's bigger, like betrayal hidden behind charm. Where others might let it slide for the sake of keeping the friendship, the Sigma female will step in and say that's not okay. Not with anger, not with drama, but with solid, unshakable clarity. That kind of honesty shakes people because it's not personal. It's not emotional. It's principled. Sigma females hold themselves and others to a high standard. And that makes them unpredictable in social spaces where loyalty usually means covering for each other's wrongs. You can't bribe them with closeness. You can't guilt them with, but we're family. You can't silence them by threatening isolation. They are not afraid to be alone. They are afraid of betraying themselves. That's why power structures fear them. They are not bound by group loyalty. They are bound by truth. And truth has no favorites. When a Sigma female walks away, it's not out of spite. It's out of alignment. And that terrifies anyone who was counting on her silence. Right now, if you are still watching, I hope this video can help you. Your comments motivate me so much, so I can make more videos which you like. So hit that subscribe button and leave me a message. Let's continue. Number 2, walk away from power without hesitation. Most people hold on tightly to anything that gives them status. Whether it's a powerful relationship, a leadership role, or a high-ranking position, once they've earned it, they cling to it. Even when it starts to hurt them, even when it becomes toxic, because deep down, they're afraid of what it means to let go. Afraid of becoming invisible, afraid of starting over. But Sigma females see it differently. They value their inner peace more than any title or position. If something begins to drain them or push them into becoming someone they're not, they don't hesitate. They walk quietly, cleanly. No drama, no second guessing, just gone. Imagine a woman who finally lands the promotion everyone else wanted. She's leading, respected, admired. But behind the scenes, the politics are soul-crushing. The backstabbing, the fake smiles, the constant pressure to perform. An alpha might stay, thinking she can power through and dominate the chaos. As Sigma, she'll hand in her keys, pack her things, and disappear. Not because she failed, but because she refused to betray herself. And that's what makes her terrifying to people who rely on control. She can't be manipulated by praise. She can't be guilt-tripped into staying. She doesn't need the power to feel powerful. She already knows who she is. While alpha females chase control and dominance, Sigma females are on a different mission entirely. They want freedom. And if the cost of that freedom is letting go of something shiny and admired, they'll do it without blinking. No emotional outburst, no need for applause, just a quiet exit and a lighter soul. That kind of detachment is misunderstood. People think it's cold. It's not. It's clarity. It's strength in its purest form. And in a world obsessed with holding on, a woman who knows when to let go is someone you can't predict or control. Number 3, keep secrets even from those closest to them. Most people are open books. Spend enough time around them and you'll figure them out. Their routines, their opinions, even their fears. Eventually it all comes out. They tell their friends everything. They vent when upset. They explain every decision, hoping to be understood. There's comfort in being known, and for many, it feels like a form of love. But Sigma females don't operate like that. Even the people closest to them rarely get full access. Not because they are hiding something, but because they live in layers, deep ones, and not every layer is for sharing. There are thoughts they never say out loud, ideas they don't talk about, emotions they work through silently. To some, that feels distant. But to the Sigma, it is simply personal space. A place where she doesn't owe anyone an explanation. That silence, that mystery, it makes people uneasy because you can't predict someone when you don't fully know them. And we live in a world that craves certainty. People want to know how you feel, what you're planning, and what role they play in your life. But with a Sigma, you don't always get that clarity. She can be warm, loving, and present, and still keep parts of her completely to herself. Take this example. She may be in a long-term relationship, supportive and loyal, but still her partner might never fully grasp how deeply she thinks or how far her mind wanders. She doesn't share everything just to feel close. She shares what feels necessary and guards the rest without apology. That kind of self-containment feels dangerous to people who are used to emotional transparency, but it is not danger. It is depth. A Sigma female knows her thoughts are her own. She doesn't overshare for validation. She doesn't perform vulnerability for connection. And that quiet mystery makes her impossible to control, impossible to predict, and unforgettable once you've met her. Number 4, challenge their own ego. Most people spend their lives protecting their ego like it's made of glass. They build up an image of who they think they are, and then they defend it at all costs. They avoid being wrong. They hate being corrected, and they take any challenge as a personal attack. Alpha females often fall into this trap. They fight to maintain control, and that means holding on to a version of themselves they feel the world expects to see. But Sigma females have no interest in that kind of fragile power. They do something far more rare and far more terrifying. They challenge their own ego on purpose. A Sigma will sit with her flaws. She will question her motives. She will ask herself if the image she's built still reflects who she really is. And if the answer is no, she will tear it down without mercy. No excuses, no need for outside validation, just brutal honesty with herself. Imagine a woman who realizes she's been successful, but driven by fear. She's earned the respect. She has the reputation, but deep down something feels off. Most would push that feeling away. A Sigma? She leans into it. She takes the time to break herself down, rebuild from truth, and come back stronger. Not for show, but for peace. That kind of self-awareness scares people because it means she doesn't need to be told the truth. She finds it on her own. She doesn't wait for life to humble her. She humbles herself. And when someone is that unafraid of being wrong about themselves, you cannot use shame to control them. You cannot bruise their ego because they've already faced the cracks and done the repair work. That's what sets Sigma females apart. They are not attached to being right. They are attached to being real. And that constant self-checking, that quiet inner courage, makes them nearly untouchable. Number 5, operate with no applause. In today's world, attention is currency. People chase likes, applause, compliments, and validation like their self-worth depends on it. Because for many, it does. They dress a certain way, post at just the right time, say what's popular, and subtly hope someone is watching. Even powerful alpha women often feed off recognition. Being seen and praised reinforces their identity. It's how they measure success. But Sigma females, they are built different. They don't just ignore applause. They are completely untouched by it. Praise doesn't move them. Criticism doesn't derail them. And that calm detachment is what makes them so unsettling. A Sigma woman doesn't create for claps. She doesn't show up to be admired. She does what she does because it aligns with her values. Her wins are often private. Her progress is quiet. Her growth isn't posted. And if no one ever noticed, she'd still keep going. That's what people can't understand. How she can be so driven with zero need to be watched. Imagine a woman who achieves something major, a new business, a life-changing decision, an inner transformation, and never announces it. She doesn't need applause to confirm she did something right. Her peace is her reward. This terrifies those who rely on external validation to feel whole, because you can't manipulate someone who doesn't need your approval. You can't control her with praise. You can't flatter her into staying or guilt her into performing. She's already free from the trap most people don't even realize they're in. And that's the real power of the Sigma female. Her motivation is pure. Her attention is focused. And her worth doesn't rise or fall with someone else's opinion. A woman who needs nothing becomes unstoppable. A woman who is untouched by attention becomes unforgettable. Number 6, refuse to compete for a position they could easily win. In a world that constantly screams, win, prove yourself, and be the best, most people get caught in a never-ending race for validation. They chase titles, attention, and the next big promotion just to prove their worth. Alpha women are often front and center in these arenas, commanding attention, leading loudly, and making sure everyone knows they're in control. Sigma females, they watch all that from a distance and quietly choose not to play. It's not that they can't win. In fact, they often have the intelligence, skill, and emotional control to outpace almost anyone. But they don't need to compete for a spotlight they never cared for in the first place. If the position requires showmanship, politics, or ego-driven battles, the Sigma female will pass, even if she's more than qualified to take it. Instead, she builds her own thing, in silence behind the scenes. While others fight for the crown, she creates the entire kingdom. Imagine a work environment where there's an opening for leadership. Everyone is scrambling to be seen, pitching ideas, networking, staying late. The Sigma woman, she's not caught up in it. She's building systems, solving problems, staying focused on her craft. Months later, the thing she built quietly is now the foundation the whole company is leaning on. No speeches, no campaigns, just undeniable value. That's her way. Her success doesn't come from competing. It comes from alignment. While others fight for temporary power, she creates something lasting, something that doesn't need defending or marketing. It just is. And that's what makes her so powerful. She doesn't need the trophy to prove she won. She doesn't need a title to prove her value. Her work speaks. Her presence speaks. And her refusal to compete. That is not weakness. That is control. The kind that cannot be bought, bribed, or broken. Number 7, they don't need to be desired to feel powerful. Most people, whether they admit it or not, draw power from being desired. The compliments, the attention, the looks across the room. It gives them a sense of worth. Many women are taught that beauty is their currency, and many men are conditioned to feel powerful when women desire them. It's a dance of validation that keeps everyone locked in a loop. Sigma females step outside that loop completely. They don't need to be seen to feel strong. They don't need to be complimented to know their value. Their power isn't something they wear for the world. It lives deep inside them whether anyone is looking or not. This is what makes them so unsettling, especially to men who are used to being measured by how many women chase them. A Sigma woman doesn't chase. She doesn't need to flirt for attention or dress to be noticed. In fact, she can be completely invisible in a room, and still walk out with more power than anyone else there. Her confidence comes from knowing who she is, not who wants her. Imagine a man who is used to being the center of attention. Women flock to him, and he builds his identity around it. Then he meets a Sigma. She doesn't react. She's polite, composed, uninterested in the performance, not cold, just unimpressed. That quiet refusal to feed his ego shakes him. Because when a woman doesn't need to be desired, she becomes untouchable. She can't be seduced with flattery. She can't be controlled through attention. And she doesn't shrink when overlooked. Sigma women radiate a rare kind of power, the kind that comes from internal stability. They don't play the game. They don't need the spotlight. And that calm independence makes them magnetic without even trying. Number 8, they challenge ideas, not just people. Most people argue to win. They go after the person, not the idea. It becomes about proving who's right, who's smarter, who has the upper hand. Alpha women often dominate these moments by sheer presence and confidence. They challenge people head-on to assert control, to remind others who's in charge. But Sigma women aren't interested in personal victory. They're interested in truth. When a Sigma challenges something, it's rarely about ego. She isn't trying to embarrass you or win an argument. She's trying to peel back the layers of an idea you've accepted without questioning. She wants to know what's really underneath it. And she wants you to see it too. It's not about proving she's better. It's about waking people up. Imagine someone casually saying, "Well, that's just how it is. That's how it's always been." Most people would nod and move on. Not a Sigma. She'd pause and ask, why? Who said that was the right way? And she won't stop at surface level answers. She'll dig until the belief either makes sense or completely collapses. That's what makes her so disarming. She isn't aggressive. She's clear. She's patient. And she's relentless with logic. She challenges people in ways that don't feel like a fight, but leave them questioning everything they thought they knew. People fear that because most identities are built on borrowed beliefs. And when a Sigma woman calmly deconstructs those beliefs, you're left staring at uncomfortable truths you've spent years avoiding. She's not out to crush you. She's out to expand you. But to the insecure, that feels threatening because her power doesn't come from shouting you down. It comes from making you think. And once you start thinking differently, you can't unsee what she just revealed. That's what sets Sigma women apart. They don't argue to dominate. They challenge to transform. Number 9, they operate outside the approval economy. Most people live inside what you could call the approval economy. Every move, every word, every opinion is filtered through one question. Will this make people like me? It's a subtle trade. You shape yourself to fit what others expect. And in return, you get social acceptance, validation, maybe even influence. Sigma women don't trade like that. They don't shape themselves to fit in. They don't water down their truth to keep the peace. And they don't barter their personality for likes, applause, or approval, especially not in rooms where power is being passed around like a currency. What makes Sigma women so unnerving is that they will say the thing nobody wants to hear without flinching. Not to be rebellious, not to get a reaction, but because it's true and it needs to be said. Picture this: a room full of executives, leaders, or influencers, everyone nodding politely, echoing the same ideas to keep the energy smooth. Then the Sigma speaks, calm, clear, unbothered. She questions the whole premise. She points out the flaw no one wanted to see. Not with aggression, just honesty. You could hear a pin drop. That moment, that's her power. She doesn't care if it makes her unpopular. She's not fishing for praise or trying to stir the pot. She just refuses to be dishonest, especially with herself. And when you operate like that, untouched by trends, opinions, or status, you become someone others can't control. Men in power often expect women to either submit or flatter. A Sigma does neither. She meets them with equal energy, grounded, sharp, and immune to charm or intimidation. Operating outside the approval economy doesn't mean being cold. It means being real. It means standing in truth when it's easier to stay silent. And that kind of woman, she doesn't need approval because her presence already speaks louder than permission ever could. Number 10, They make men rethink masculinity. Most alpha men are used to setting the tone. They walk into a space expecting to be the one who commands attention, who holds the authority, who others respond to. Their sense of masculinity often leans on presence, dominance, and being the loudest or most confident voice in the room. And for the most part, it works until they meet a Sigma woman. She doesn't challenge their masculinity directly. She doesn't mock it or compete with it. She simply exists in her own power, calm, steady, unmoved. She isn't impressed by status. She doesn't chase validation. And she doesn't flinch in the face of pressure. That quiet self-possession scrambles the usual script. Suddenly, the man who is used to leading every conversation starts second-guessing himself. Not because she's loud, but because she's not performing. While others are reacting to his presence, she's observing. While others laugh at his jokes out of habit, she pauses and listens instead. No need to challenge. Her stillness does all the work. He begins to feel it. His bravado feels forced. His need to be admired feels obvious. And in her presence, his performance starts to feel like just that, a performance. That's the Sigma effect. She makes men question what real masculinity actually is. Is it loud confidence? Or is it quiet strength? Is it dominance? Or is it emotional control? Without saying a word, she makes them look inward. And for many, that's the first time they've done it. A Sigma woman doesn't make men feel small. She makes them reflect. She doesn't demand respect. She just naturally commands it. And that shift redefines what it means to be powerful. In a world full of noise and surface-level strength, her depth cuts through it all. She doesn't break masculinity. She evolves it. And any man who crosses her path walks away changed. Number 11, they don't need to win every argument. They want to understand. Most people approach arguments like a battle. It's about who's right, who's louder, who can win. Alpha women often thrive in that space. They're quick, confident, and ready to defend their point no matter what. The goal is to come out on top, and in most cases, they do. But Sigma females walk a completely different path. They're not interested in proving people wrong. They don't argue to dominate. They engage to understand. That alone changes the entire dynamic. While someone is getting worked up trying to win, the Sigma is calm, asking questions, reading between the lines. She's listening not just to the words, but to the silence, the emotion, the fear behind the defensiveness. And when she does speak, it's not to crush someone's opinion. It's to expand the conversation. That kind of presence disarms people because you can't fight someone who isn't trying to fight you. You can't win against someone who isn't playing to win. And suddenly you start realizing you're not in control anymore. She is. Imagine a heated debate at work. Voices raised, opinions flying, tension rising. The Sigma woman sits quietly, absorbing it all. Then she asks one question that no one saw coming. It cuts right to the heart of the issue, not with force, but with clarity. That moment, she shifted the entire room without raising her voice once. She walks away not only with deeper insight, but often more influence than when the conversation began. Because people remember how she made them think, not just how she made them feel. That's her edge. She doesn't burn bridges. She builds awareness. And in doing so, she often ends up with the strongest position in the room. Not because she fought for it, but because she earned it without needing to. Number 12, they can lead without ever stepping forward. True leadership isn't about titles, status, or being the loudest in the room. It's about influence. And Sigma females carry a quiet kind of influence that doesn't need to announce itself. They don't need the spotlight. They don't even need to try. People just feel something in them, something steady, grounded, and real, and that draws others in without force. While traditional leaders often rely on rank or recognition to hold their place, Sigma women lead from the back. They observe first. They speak with intention. They move with clarity. And before anyone realizes what's happening, people begin looking to them for direction, even without a formal role. It's not about charisma. It's not about charm. It's about presence. Imagine a group project at work or in a community setting. The assigned leader is vocal, maybe even overbearing, but things feel scattered. Meanwhile, The Sigma woman who said very little at the start begins offering quiet solutions, asking sharp questions, keeping things focused. One by one, people start turning to her, not the assigned leader, for clarity. And she never asked for it. She simply earned it by being effective, thoughtful, and composed. That's what unsettles people whose power depends on position. Because when someone can lead without chasing leadership, it exposes how fragile most authority really is. It shows that respect doesn't come from being in front. It comes from being worth following. Sigma females have that pull not because they demand loyalty, but because they inspire it. Their calm creates trust. Their honesty earns respect. Their strength feels safe, not showy. They don't chase the crown. They don't need it. Because the truth is, people follow energy. And the Sigma's energy is built on authenticity, not ambition. That kind of leadership can't be taught, and it definitely can't be replaced. In final words, you don't have to be loud to be powerful. You just have to be real. And that's exactly what the world can't handle. Sigma females don't move to impress. They don't push to be seen. And yet, they leave an impact that's impossible to ignore. Not because they chase dominance, but because they live with depth. They make hard choices. They walk away from things everyone else clings to. They choose truth over loyalty, peace over performance, and solitude over shallow connections. That's not rebellion. That's clarity. The world is used to alpha women leading from the front, loud, bold, and in charge. But Sigma women, they lead without needing a stage. They influence without forcing their presence. Their silence makes noise. Their decisions shake systems. And their self-trust is so strong it unsettles everyone still trying to find themselves through other people. If you've ever been called too quiet, too distant, or too intense, there's a good chance you've been operating on a different level this whole time. That isn't something to fix. That's something to understand. You're not here to be decoded. You're here to move in your own rhythm and let the right people catch on or not. Being a Sigma female isn't about being better than anyone. It's about being braver than most. Brave enough to face yourself. Brave enough to walk alone. Brave enough to say no without guilt and speak truth without apology. So if you're listening to this, take a deep breath. You're not lost. You're just on a path most people are too afraid to walk. Keep going and never shrink to make others comfortable. Your presence is not noise. It is a signal, and the right ones will hear it. Stay true to yourself. To all the spicy ladies make life beautiful, thank you for watching, and God bless.